Big Sky Howdy, and welcome back to another episode of World Bigfoot Radio. Hey, everybody, we got a special guest with us today that you're all going to be thrilled to see on the show for the first time here. We have the research partner of the eminent folk monster hunter himself, William Lunsford, who was just up here in Montana doing a little trip up here with me recently. You guys will see that in the future. But in the meantime, we got his research partner, Mr. Stephen Hill, on here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Duke, for having me. Pleasure
You're very
to be
welcome. Yeah, I've been waiting a while to get you on here. I got, like a backlog of people pending from last spring that I still haven't even recorded yet, because it then became summer, and I went, well, I'm doing research. You guys can just wait. Sorry, we only get 4 months of the year to do this, and I'm going to take advantage of that. And then it's back to okay, let's do interviews and show all the other guys that are out there in other parts of the country that are doing the boots on the ground, butt in the field, and actually coming back with evidence research. And you're one of the better, if not one of the best, down there in the area where you're in. So I'm really happy to have you on the show finally. And again, you're one of those guys that more people should be actually having something to do with your research, having you on the shows, having you at conferences, things like that. You know, instead of wasting people's time with some of these other recyclers that they recycle every convention. They were boring the last 5 times, and they're going to give you the same spiel this time. Figure it out, guys. So anyway, Stephen, how did you get involved in this to start with?
For me, Duke, I always had an interest in the cryptids or anything that, I guess, anything odd. Didn't matter whether it was the Bigfoot, the giant squid, whatever, UFOs, all that stuff. And for me, it began. It's in 2009 when I had a sighting. That's when it really began for me. Even though I tried to dismiss it for probably 2 years, I'd say at least 2 years after that, I tried to dismiss it as a bear sighting. But a bear just didn't quite fit even at the time that I saw this, even though I wasn't exactly certain as to what I saw there in 2009.
So tell us what you saw and how you were doing the mental gymnastics to try and dismiss that it was a bear. Was it on all fours?
Yes.
Well, that helps a lot. I know a bunch of people that I'm pretty sure have actually seen one, and they went, well, no, it had to be a bear. It was on all fours.
Yeah, this one was fast. I figured it covered 80 yards in probably 3 or 4 seconds. I could see it moving through the trees. And it crossed the road in front of me, and when it crossed the road, it went up a hill. And I was expecting to see it because I just come down the road that I was on, coming home from work. I was coming downhill, and it had a sharp right-hand turn in it. And whenever I made the turn and got straightened out, that's when I could see it moving through the trees. So I was closing the distance the whole time that I was seeing it, even though I probably wasn't going 15 or 20 miles an hour. And
what time of day was this?
This was late in the evening. You still had some daylight, but you know the time of day that I'm talking about. Whenever
kind of twilight. Did you have car headlights on yet, or were you still using the daylight?
There was still enough. I had the lights on, but I didn't.
Well, at that distance, then you couldn't hardly mistake what it is. You know, light conditions be damned. You had headlights on.
Yeah, I had the headlights on. Plus, I still had plenty of good light. At that time, I was younger, and my eyes were still
yeah, there's that to take into account too. It helps a lot.
Yeah, you know, I was still in my 30s. I didn't have to start wearing glasses till a few years ago to read. So.
Yeah, I'm blind as Mr. Magoo. I'd walk right into trees and stuff if I wasn't paying close attention, which is apparently why I don't see any of the Sasquatch that are sneaking around me all the time. You have to find them in the video afterwards and go, oh my God, there was one right there. I'm freaking retarded. I can't see anything. It's a good thing they don't seem to be inclined to mug me because I'm sure you're giving them plenty of opportunities.
Yeah. Well, that may be why they think you're such a calm, cool, collected guy.
Yeah, because I can't hear any of the noises they're making, and I don't see them right next to me. So they're like, good, nothing scares this guy. You can like stand right there and do a tap dance. And I'm like, yeah, Mr. McGarry, I don't even see it. What's that tree moving right there? Yeah, no, it's terrifying. I'd rather see him when I was there and not just like see him in video afterwards and go, oh, there was one 20 feet away on my right-hand side watching me. La-di-da, yay.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's a creepy feeling. That's one thing that you guys do that's a little bit different. You don't camp out there because your area has too many other dangerous things in it. And you do occasionally go out and do evening things, but you're both there and keeping an eye on the situation and armed. And a lot of what you guys do is just game cam traps.
Yes. Yeah, we started with the game cameras in early part of 2019. And that's been something that has been well, it's actually worked pretty good for us, to be honest.
Phenomenally compared to what most people are getting with game cams. And again, it's because, like I said, game cam traps. You're using more than one. You're luring them in with their favorite thing on earth, a Snickers bar. Packed with peanuts, Snickers really satisfies Sasquatch. Come on. Start promoting my show, Snickers. Anyway, and it's true, you know, I'm not just like blowing hot wind here. All the serious researchers will tell you, well, they like Snicker bars and they like Reese's peanut butter cups and they like peanut butter crunchy. They like better. You know?
Yeah.
The Sasquatch have spoken. If it's got peanut butter and chocolate together, it's awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the gimmick, man. And it's the spot that we call the candy store. That's an area. I mean, I know William has shown the pictures of where we've had the cameras thrown down. He showed the camera that was destroyed earlier this year.
Yeah.
Pieces of bark in front of the cameras blocking the view of the men. You know.
The great camera caper. Yeah, we went extensively into that one. And he was pretty amused when I showed him the picture of the one laying behind the log peeking at me. I'm like, does that look familiar? And he just started laughing his butt off. And he's like, looks like the one on the camera caper. And like, yep, laying flat on the ground with just the eyes and this much peeking up over the top looking, you know.
That's that's one of my favorite pictures we got this year was the one laid up on that bank and he's reaching around grabbing the Snicker.
Yeah, I know that's a really good one. He must have wanted that Snickers bar really bad.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
again, Snickers start sponsoring my show.
Yeah, we've been wishing they'd sponsor us.
Yeah, no kidding. They need to get on the bandwagon here. Don't let Kokanee and what's the other one? The beef jerky company there make all the money off of.
Yeah,
because Sasquatch doesn't even like Kokanee beer or beef jerky. That's garbage. They actually like Snicker bars.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they're not the only thing out there that like them. You know, the crows like them real well too.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, any animal that's got some kind of a sweet tooth or something, they're going to go after something like that. Because how often does that just plop down in the forest? Hey, what's this yummy thing? You know, they'll eat it. What percentage of the time do you guys, from all the research that you're getting there, how much of it is just passive game cams and stuff like that? I know William's got one that monitors in real time and sends them pictures as it takes them. And how much of the time are you guys actually out there, boots on the ground, changing stuff on cameras or being out there later at night or, you know, hoping to catch one running around and get one on video or camera or something?
This year we didn't spend as much time out there, especially late in the evenings or when it got dark, as we have in a couple of the years before. William and I actually began out there in latter part of 2018. We started with the camera traps in 2019, and we used to spend quite a bit of time out there at night, which is something that we're going to have to start doing again.
Yeah,
because things would happen. You know, we would catch vocals.
Well, midsummer, you don't expect too much activity in your area anyway because it's too stinking hot. And you've got so many bugs and stuff in the background making a racket, you can hardly hear anything else going on. So I can understand that. And then William's been on the injured reserve list for most of the summer too, trying to recuperate. And as soon as he was well enough to do anything, I drug him up here and just beat the hell out of him up in the mountains and froze him half to death. So now he's got to recover from that.
Yep. Yeah, he was. He had some. He had to have surgery and all that stuff earlier this year. So he spent as much time as he could. Of course, it limited him as to how much he could do.
Yeah. And
a lot of this stuff I like to do it in the wintertime whenever the ticks and the snakes are not out. Of course, I mean we really don't have a snake problem at ground zero.
Right. But, you think something's eating all those snakes at ground zero, and that could be why there's nothing there?
Yeah. They're disappearing.
Yeah, that's why Sasquatch doesn't like jack lynx. They've got their own jack lynx. They're called snakes. Yeah. They just crawl right up to you, grab them by the tail, smack their head against a tree, and there's your yummy beef jerky stick, or snake jerky stick, if you will. Oh
yeah, I believe they're opportunists.
Yep. Yeah, it's fun because you guys are just exactly the opposite climatically of the way we are. The only time we can get out and do anything is during the middle of the summer when it's warm enough to be up there and not freeze to death. And then during the winter when you guys are running around doing stuff down there, we can't do anything up here, you know. So we're stuck indoors, just the opposite of you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the part I love is the wintertime around here. I can get out and I can walk these trails, and you know, I sent you a couple of videos of some trails one where it looks like the trail comes to an end, but it actually they circled around the pine tree. Once you got around the pine tree, the trail opened back up again. It's just I was impressed with them.
Typical sneakiness. Yeah, they're the forest ninjas, that's for sure. So let's talk a little bit about some of the pictures and stuff that you sent along. What do you got for us to take a look at?
All right. Well, one of the first ones I sent you was the dog man. We saw that one February 23rd this year. It was about almost just a little bit before 6 o'clock in the evening. And the way we have our camera set up, we kind of usually make kind of a clockwise circle to the candy store, then the gifting stump, and then down there where the spy point's at, and back up the draw and back to the truck, you know. And of course, we're always looking for tracks. And
so you got like a regular route that you guys run when you're down there then?
Yeah. We typically have a route, and on that day we changed our route up. We went we reversed it.
Uh-huh. They're used to that predictability, and all of a sudden you do something different and they're in the wrong spot.
Yeah, they were in the wrong spot for sure. And that was interesting because the thing that drew my attention that day was the first thing I saw was a big black head that dropped down below the sage grass, and I never did see it or never did get a picture of it. But now the dog man, it was standing out there in the field.
Whoa!
It's kind of like, what in the world?
And he's like, "Oh, what are they doing over here? They're supposed to be on the other side of the road."
Yeah. And to me, seeing that and snapping a couple of pictures of it, which I really wish that I keep hoping someday I'm gonna have the presence of mind to go ahead and video instead of take pictures, Duke. That would be so much better.
Yeah, I had to remind William of doing that, and I'm like, "Oh, look, see the trail there? There's some juvie tracks." And he whips out the camera, takes a couple of pictures, and I went, "Okay, now let's take some video. I'll hold the tape measure." And he's like, "Oh yeah, video. How do I turn that on?"
Yeah.
Yeah. We're standing here on a ridge line out in the middle of nowhere on this game trail so beaten down it looks like a cow path, and there's juvenile Sasquatch tracks right in the line. This might be a good time to get video.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to force. I'll tell you what, you start taking video randomly, you're going to start seeing things in it that you aren't expecting. Because you see an object, you take a static picture of it. Well, you're taking the picture because you see the object. You're just taking video and panning around. You come back and look at it and go, "What the bleep is that over there? How did I miss it?" And then you can go back and look at it frame by frame and see if it moved. You can't do that with a picture.
Yeah, that's something I've tried to practice on a little bit this summer is taking a picture of vultures or buzzards and taking video of the same one. And it was a big difference. You know?
Yeah. The other thing I've had to actually start training myself to do is anticipate. Well, something's liable to happen when I walk into this area. Turn the camera on, have it going before I even walk in. So in case anything. And one of the things I caught when I was out with Shane, we were coming back down the hill to camp, and I went, well, there's liable to be something in camp. So I'll turn the camera on, walk down the embankment. There's a huge deer walking right through the middle of camp. Like, yep. And if I didn't have the camera on, never would have got any video of that. So there you go.
Yeah, that right there would be beneficial as well.
Yep. Well, I know I've had people with me that have actually had opportunities to get something really good on camera, and they just weren't prepared for it. We had one whistle to us from down in the draw, and I sent Michael down there and went, "Hey, there's one down there. I'm going to go around the back side. You go down this way. If he runs out that way, we lost him. If he runs over this way, he'll go right past me." I'm gonna be really sneaky quiet and go over this ridge line. You go down there. As soon as you go over the ridge line, turn your camera on. He didn't do it. He
Oh,
went
no.
part way down the ridge, and then he heard thud, 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 thud of something running away. If you would have had your damn camera on, you would have gotten that audio.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe even caught something on video too. You know, you don't know.
It
Just because
could
you didn't
have.
see it with your naked eye doesn't mean, hey, it might have been right here, taken off. They're so fast. You get like 1 second of gone. But yeah, that's, you know, I always try and encourage everybody to do that because pictures are great. Pictures are better for things like tracks and tree snaps and stuff like that. But even that benefits from having video on it because you can change the angle and go, okay, I can't see the track worth a damn in the camera lens from this angle. Let's move over here where the sunlight's different. And then you can see the outline. You're like, okay, now we're cooking with gas. People can see what I'm looking at. Because sometimes you're looking at it with your naked eye. It's like, that's obvious as hell. You try and take a picture of it. It's like, there's nothing there. What was I taking a picture of? You know?
Right. That's, yeah, I've done that a few times on some of the pictures I've taken. I go back and look at old pictures and like, why did I take a picture of this?
Yeah. I was noticing that with some video and pictures that Jeff filmed back in 2015 that I think I'm going to recompile and put out. And we were following this trail and we got up to the top of this dirt embankment. And it was all grass about, you know, like that high. And you could see the impressions in the grass where it had stepped. And he took pictures of them. And on the pictures, you can't see it very well. But as soon as he switched to video, you can see track, 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 track. It's really obvious then. So, yeah, big advocate of video. Picture worth 1,000 words, video worth 10,000. But anyway, so let's get back to this. So then what happened after you got this dog man out in the field? There's a dog man out in the field. What the bleep?
Yeah, with the with that right there, with since I was on the camera and I had to, I got the phone, the picture I took with my cell phone. So I wasn't zoomed in enough for the first picture, so I had to zoom in. And so I missed some of the other movement that William saw because I was taking pictures. And William actually could see more of the movement. And the other thing I'll go ahead and tell you, Duke, is William wouldn't let me hold the gun the rest of the time we were there that day. He decided he'd go ahead and carry it.
Now, why would Will want to carry the gun all of a sudden? All that extra weight and everything.
I had to pick on him a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you know, let's just face it. He ain't scared of anything. This guy accidentally charged a gugly before he even realized what it was. And we went, whoops. Oh, yeah. I'm closer to that thing than I am to the truck. No one knows I'm out here and I don't have a gun. Now might be a good time to head back.
Yeah. Yeah, he went in to get a closer view of that one. He realized what he had.
Yeah. Then when he got the close look, he's like, oh, bleep, that's not a Sasquatch. What is that? Okay, I'm backing up now. Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. I always appreciate the guys that are ballsy enough to actually like run toward them and try and get a better picture or something. Yeah. You probably remember the Bob Dodson video. Sasquatch is pissed, where he's trying to get it on video, and every time he gets the camera and the light on it, it pops down again, and then he pulls them back up, and it pops back up, and he brings the camera back over, and it pops down, and finally, after about six, 7 times, he's like, "Kids, don't try this," and runs through the woods right at it, trying to get it on video. Then when he gets there, he can't find it, and he's panning around the circle, and it's like right behind him. He's like, "Oh God!" And he takes off, runs back to where he came from the first time.
Yeah.
What did you think it was going to do? You just ran toward it. You know, what did you think it was going to do? Run away? You know? Oh God. And
That's
spoiler alert, his research partner, Udell Head, is going to be on an upcoming show here too, folks. So we'll get to watch some of that video and talk about some of the stuff that happened with him and all the stuff that's going on with his research partner in the same area he's working in right now. But anyway, getting back to Stephen. So Dogman in the field, you're trying to zoom in on the thing. And William's watching it. And so you zoom in and you get another picture. And then what?
Took a few more just random pictures, you know. After that moment was over, I snapped a few more, hoping I might catch part of what drew my attention that way to begin with. But and that was basically it. I mean, we had them out there for just a few seconds, you know, long enough to take a few pictures, and it was over. But now William could see the other stuff moving in the brush behind it. So I mean, that's another one of those times there where if I'd actually been rolling video and zoomed in, you know,
you might have something you could check on. Yeah, you could check out later and go, hey, look, see right here, and it's moving.
I was focused on taking the pictures, and William was focused on everything else that was happening. So. But that was but for me, I mean, it was good because that was confirmation on the trackways that I had found. The first trackway that I found was in 2019 of what appeared to be a bipedal canine. I found another one in 2020, and in 2021 we got the picture of the Dogman.
Now, how do their tracks vary from like a big wolf track or something like that?
This one's tracks, well, if it's just that one, I doubt there's just one.
Right.
But it's probably about 4.5 inches wide. It's a little bit longer than that, but it definitely has the good claws on it. But I mean, there's some domestic dogs that probably have a print the size of this one, but they just don't walk around upright.
Right. I know other people in their area have found the ones, they look like a giant wolf track, basically, except for the heel is coming down on the ground almost to where the dew claw is. So it's got this lengthy, like, attachment on the back of it that you don't see on a normal canine.
I did find something like that earlier this year after the snow melted. Let's see. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I know it was after the snow melted. They had claws on it, but it was a little bit longer than the other just straight up canine tracks that we found.
Right. Now, have you been there with William, or have you found any of the three-toed tracks that nobody's quite sure what the hell is making those damn things, and they're down in your area?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we found those up there at the ground zero area as well.
So that's, again, this isn't a Dogman, it's something else. It's probably not a regular Sasquatch, and it's not a Dogman. It's a unknown cryptid.
Yeah, very well could be. The three-toed track that I found. It's the big toe itself is 2¼ inches wide, and the width of just those three toes is like 7¼ or 7.5 wide. But now William found the strangest three-toed impression I've ever seen. It's I'm still not sure what to make of that thing.
Yeah, well, one of the things that's come out of there, not just from William, but from some of the other people down there that have found some of these peculiar tracks, is it's not like one that had some kind of an injury to its foot or something. There's different individuals of different sizes that are all leaving these weird tracks.
Yep. That's but now we found the 5-toe tracks out there in ground zero area, the 3-toe tracks, the Dogman tracks. All this is in one area. So
yeah, probably a good enough reason to not camp there. You know, I used to think we didn't have any really Dogmen around here because nobody sees them, nobody gets a picture of one, nobody reports them. And in the spring when I was up there and I was doing a camera pan, caught a whole bunch of Sasquatch watching me, and right in between two of them, there's a Dogman apparently, because he's got his snout and half his face sticking around a tree looking at me, and I'm like, oh, good, yeah, nut. I hope that's a pet bear. And I'm looking at it closer going, no, the snout's too long, damn it.
No, that's not a pet bear, Duke.
Damn it. So they get a pet dog man then. I'm going to
Yeah,
imagine it's a pet dog man.
that's really interesting to me that these canines are hanging out with the Bigfoot like that.
I think it varies by temperament because I've heard this from other people that have really active areas and do some different levels of interaction with theirs that they have in some areas where there's, a good number of Sasquatch, they'll occasionally see a dog man with them. And apparently the dog man isn't, aggressive or dangerous to them or they wouldn't put up with it. And if it was aggressive and dangerous to other things they're interacting with, again, they wouldn't put up with it because it's ruining their fun. So there's apparently some of them that they just get along with just fine. It's, weird, but keeps coming up.
Yeah, that is weird because in this area here, we've this is the spot where they have their babies there in the springtime. I mean, they're carrying their babies around.
Yeah.
Well, the smallest track that we found is probably about 3 3/4 inches long, maybe 4 inches long.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
like newborn. That's tiny.
That's in the same area. So, I mean,
So yeah, you would.
here, this is an area that we've been working in for years, and it keeps producing evidence. And
You would think if the Sasquatch had any problems with these things being aggressive, they just wouldn't even put up with them there, especially where their little ones are around.
yeah, I wouldn't think that they would put up with them if they were aggressive. It's it kind of makes me wonder a little bit more, about the relationship that they have. Are these they have those are these dog men? Are they kind of trained up, or is it what is the relationship? Is it kind of like a human and its pet dog, or what?
Yeah, or are they just, two different species that get along with each other, or who the hell knows? Up here, it seems to be that the pecking order is that the little people are at the top of the pecking order, and the Sasquatch and other things are below that because everything's afraid of the little people. And you guys got a picture of a little person when you were out doing a night recon.
Yeah, we do. It gave me chills whenever William was showing me the pictures because he's got them on the iPad, and whenever you scroll across the pictures, you can see it moving.
Oh,
And
God.
I'm standing about 2 feet from it, and I had no idea it was there.
You got to help him get more tech literate so he can start pulling that stuff off of the devices he's got it on, so we can actually show it to people. He has issues with that. He needs your help.
I'll have to get my daughter when she comes in from college to
Yeah, like
get
he's
him
got a
trained
ton
on
of really good stuff. A lot of the stuff I've shown with him on my show is like nowhere near as good as the originals look. And he just can't figure out how to get some of this stuff off the devices that they're on and blah, blah, blah. Because, like, we're old, we don't understand tech. So, anybody out there that wants to actually be a hero that's, like under 40,
that.
contact, help William get pictures and video off devices so everyone can see them. It's a needful thing. They're worth looking at. Trust me.
Yeah, he's even got some video. I don't think he's ever sent you
No, probably not.
of something that's actually staring at the camera. It appears to be canine and black, but
Oh, great.
I'm not gonna say for sure.
No, one of my favorite pics that he's got is the two most close-ups of a Sasquatch ever. One where it's biting the camera lens. Well, now you're looking at the inside of its mouth. And the other one where the camera is inside of its mouth and it's trying to bite the camera and the camera lens is pointing out. And you can see the eye shine of another one standing there watching it trying to eat the camera. Well,
Yeah.
that's as close as you're going to get of a close-up ever. You're getting a picture from inside of its mouth.
Yeah, you're
It's
right.
a Sasquatch mouth cam right there.
Yeah, I think with that, not only the eye shine, you can also see the silhouette of one out there as well. And I mean, it's, of course, that's one of the most recognizable uh, images anywhere.
The first time I saw that, I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" And he's like, "No, he's trying to eat the camera."
Kind of, yeah, it kind of looks like the image on my shirt.
Yeah. And you got to figure, your mouth is pretty big. We can fit an entire game cam in it and start chomping on it. You got a fairly
Yeah.
large mouth.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No doubt about it.
So, what other pictures did you send along here?
I sent you let's see, I sent you one picture that I took in 2017. It was of a big one that's up in a tree, actually watching me work.
Nice. You don't get a lot of pictures of that because people generally don't look up in the trees and even
Yep.
notice that they're there. They'll accidentally catch something. You've probably seen the ones where the kids are having a camp out and they're just doing drunken kid stuff, and in the background, just went up in the tree behind them. It's like moving around in the branches and crawling back and forth. They had no idea. They just filmed it by accident.
Yeah, and that's something it's people should look up more often.
Yeah. Actually, my fave on that one, Blaine Tyler sent it, and it was just a picture of a tree. And the caption is, "Most people don't look up. I do." And then you look more closely, and halfway up the tree, there's a friggin' Sasquatch right there on the branch looking at him, and it's really obvious.
Yeah, I have I found that before. Been out walking, and you see a lot of people who've hunted. I'm sure they're familiar with how with all the wear pattern of the squirrels and stuff can put on a tree. But the one we found, it had a lot more wear than what squirrels would normally do. And then up there, probably 20 feet up, there was a real good branch for something to sit on and observe.
Hmm. I don't know if you've done much deer stand hunting, but I observed even as a kid, you could sit in a deer stand and a dozen hunters would walk by on a trail. None of them knew you were there. And you're
Yeah,
wearing orange
yeah,
in a tree where there's no leaves. How obvious can you be? They still don't notice you because you don't move.
yeah. As long as you don't move, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. So these guys are like, "Oh, well, I'm sitting in a tree and I'm not wearing orange. And I know how to hide and I ain't moving either. These clouds are never going to spot me."
and you're right.
We just make it way too easy for them because we're so oblivious. We just don't pay any attention usually. Honestly, folks, even people that know what they're looking for, that know what their habits are like, that kind of have a pretty good idea what to expect, that maybe even have them patterned to a certain extent. Well, let's go to this place this time of the day. They're liable to be around there. I got my camera ready. I'm all good to go. You still maybe got a 1 in 10 chance if one of them popped up that you're going to get anything. It's just so hard to get these guys on video or a picture of them. It's ridiculous. Usually it's just accidental is when you catch them.
Yeah, you're right. It is. I mean, you have to catch them. You have to catch them whenever they think they're hid.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, I mean, they're not hid as well as what they think they are. The tree peeker she showed me the other night.
Yeah, he wasn't hidden very well. That was an epic fail there. Like, are you
Yeah.
even trying, dude?
I mean, if you got a head like a 5-gallon bucket, you probably don't need to poke your whole head out behind the tree.
Yeah, one eye would have been good enough. And the hilarious thing is the tree's like this and it's like whole heads out and you can see this eye. It's like you could have just used this one and been like this and it would have hit a little bit better. Caveman's got one of those pictures too where he was walking along and he caught one kind of out in the open. He turned around with his camera and he's like, click. And then he takes another step and it tries to take a step and he turns around, looks again, and it stops. And this picture, you can see the outline right behind the tree. It's not like clear or anything, but it's pretty obvious. It's not a shadow. And it's kind of like Andre the Giant trying to hide behind a potted plant. Ridiculous, epic fail. He's just like, I'm a shadow. I'm not moving. Pay no attention. And as soon as K-Man takes a step, he tries to go the opposite direction. K-Man turns. So what here's an important point from this little us joking about this and laughing about it. They're not 100%. They can make mistakes, just like anybody else. Yeah, they're really, 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 really good, but occasionally they make a mistake.
Yes, they will. And it's when they make a mistake, I mean that's our opportunity to try to take advantage of it.
Hell yeah, that's pretty much the only thing we got on our side is occasionally they mess up. And I showed Blaine a picture of a big boulder pile. It was supposed to be a megalith. It's here in Montana. There's two huge uprights and there's a big flat boulder sitting across it. And right away he sends back a crop going, that's not a shadow in the background. That's a Sasquatch there. And I'm like, what? How do you know? And he goes, look at the bottom. His toes are sticking out of the shadow just far enough you could see him in the sunlight. All 10 of them. And I'm like, no shit, he wasn't kidding. And I'm like, how do you spot this stuff so fast? They're just saying the damn picture, and it's supposed to be, what's a megalith? Well, here's a picture of a megalith. Oh, there's a Sasquatch in there.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, it's I mean, that's how I've seen them before. You know, they thought they were hid, and I happened to spot them. You know, there were a couple of times that I've had a couple of sightings, basically from my yard. The only reason I had the sighting at all was because of my dog's reaction.
The dog's like, and you're like, wait, what's the dog looking at?
Yeah. When your dog leaves you alone out there in the yard,
like,
start looking around.
Yeah, no kidding. The dog's onto something right here. What's got his full attention? Yeah. We had that when we were up in the ghost town of Coloma, and there was a burning ban on, so we couldn't have a campfire. So in the middle of the fire ring, we had a little kerosene heater making a dull reddish glow. And the dog is laying right next to it, and he's looking at something out in the dark, and he starts going, and then he hunkers lower to the ground. And his owner, Jeff, goes, what are you looking at, Hank? What's out there? Hey, what do you guys think is out there? And I'm like, probably a Sasquatch. Don't worry about it. They all look at me like, well, what are we up here for? What do you think is out there? Of course, that's what it is. We were just finding tracks all day long. What do you guys think it is? They're coming to visit now because it's really dark and we can't see anything. How much of that do you get? Now, obviously, you guys aren't actually camping there, but you're up there late at night and stuff. How brazen do they get? Do they get really close to you guys?
Oh, the closest that I've been to one out there was about 30 steps.
That's still pretty close. So they're, even in the dark, they're really circumspect. They're still keeping a good distance from you guys.
Yeah, it's most of the time they are. It's they don't. You know, we parked the truck out there, and we walked down the road. We had this. We walked west down the road that we parked on, and while we were down there, we heard some coyotes, and then we could hear feet hitting the ground there behind the pickup. So,
whoa,
yeah,
yeah, that'll wake you right up. Oh my God! Especially when you can tell it's bipedal, thud, 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 thud. You're like, that wasn't a deer.
Yeah, we could tell it wasn't four legs when it crossed the gravel road.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're in the woods a lot, and you get to hear all the other animals moving around and stuff, it doesn't take you long to figure out the difference between something on four legs and something on two. One of the things that throws a lot of people that aren't used to camping and stuff is, God, there's something over there in the dark making a racket, and it's like, it's a squirrel. Some of these little tiny animals just make a ridiculous amount of noise. And you're like, oh God, there has to be something huge the size of a tank over there. And you go look, and it's like, no, it's a bunny rabbit hopping around in some dried leaves, just making a huge, disgusting racket.
Yeah. Your armadillo monster.
Yeah. Well, for you guys down there, armadillos are noisy as hell from what I hear. They're just like, make ton of noise, don't care. I got armor, whatever. Ah.
Yeah, they don't care.
Maybe not smart enough to care. They can roll themselves up into a football. How smart do they need to be?
That's yeah. I don't know if they hear good or can see good, either one. So
Probably neither. That's why they got armor. I'm gonna just walk around with my nose down and dig things out of the ground and eat them. You guys, I'll just ignore you because you can't do a damn thing to me. Have a good day.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, very interesting animals. That's something we don't have up here is any armadillos.
Terrible.
Do you see any sign that the local biggies there do anything with them? Do they eat them?
I really haven't seen a whole lot of evidence of that. Of course, out there at the ground zero area, I mean, there's really hadn't noticed any armadillos out there. There's still some hogs and there's still a few rabbits. There's still deer.
Surprised
the
there's any
fox,
hogs.
you know, quite a bit. We haven't seen him in a few years. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm surprised there's any hogs there, really, as many as there are of them around there. I figured they would have ate them all by now. That seems to be on their yum preference.
I'll tell you about the hogs in the area. It's not uncommon at all, you know, for a hog to have 10 to 12 little ones whenever they have one. And out there in that area, most of the time, if you see 5 little ones with them, you've seen quite a few. They do not. I'm not saying it's always Bigfoot that gets them. It may be coyotes or it may be something else. I'm not sure, but you don't see big litters of little piglets running around.
What do they call so they call the spawn of the wild hogs piglets. They don't call them hoglets or anything.
Right.
Again, we don't have those things up here. The grizzly bears would eat them. So there aren't any up here. Trust me, 1,000-pound grizzly is going to beat a hog every frickin' time. It's not going to be a competition.
No.
Splat.
Yeah.
Food.
Oh yeah, but no, it seems that the hogs are kind of kept in check out there.
I've heard that in other parts of the South that the hog problem sort of weirdly intermittent. Sometimes they'll have a ton of hog problem for a while, and it'll just be like, oh, they're all kind of gone. Where did they go? Why is everybody around here having Bigfoot sightings?
Yeah. Yeah, the hogs used to come up on my place some, and I haven't seen one on my place now in 2 or 3 years.
Huh. You have any Sasquatch activity on your place over there? Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. There could be a correlation between the lack of hogs and the presence of the Sasquatch there.
Yep.
Like maybe there are actually hogs there, but they just never lived long enough to get close to the house.
I mean, I can't. You know, there are people around here that they'll shoot them when they get the chance to, or they'll try to trap them. But I mean, it's just like a good friend of mine. He always keeps hog traps out, and he really hasn't caught many in the past year or so.
William showed me that one picture where the hog exterminator had wiped out a whole pile of them, and he had all the corpses in a row. And then I don't know if it was both you guys or just him came back there and went, "Who the hell picks up a rotting pig carcass and walks off with it?" There was more of them here the last time I was here. Now there's one less. They were all rotting last time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got another one. I think I've told William about it, but there was another one. It's about 50 miles away from where that incident, you know, occurred, where one of the hogs disappeared, wasn't drug off.
Yeah.
Had one around here, same thing. You know, somebody had killed the hog, and it was there left in a power line. And I just can't remember if it was a day later or 2 days later, the guy went back and checked on the hog, and the hog was gone. It wasn't drug off. Something picked it up and carried it off. So.
Yeah, and in general in the South, theoretically, you don't have any predators that are natural that are big enough to do that. There aren't any 1,000-pound grizzlies down there that are going to pick up a 200-pound hog and walk off with it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And a 40-pound coyote is certainly not going to carry off a 200-pound hog.
Hell no.
Hmm.
Coyotes probably got enough sense to stay the hell away from the hogs. They know what the hogs are going to do to them.
Yeah.
They ain't going to be on the winning end of that confrontation.
No, not at all. You know, it's but one of the pictures I showed you, I sent you of some, I don't know, it's an impression. It's kind of in some damp dirt. That was probably only a couple 100 yards from where that hog disappeared from.
Whoa. Yeah, so possible hog napper right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always more fun when you find the secondary evidence. You know, one thing, well, big hog body disappeared. Okay, we don't know what did it. Hey, there's a Bigfoot track right over here. Okay, we're getting more of a clue on maybe what did it. You know? It's like when we had William up here weekend before last, and we got him across the river to show him where that giant asterisk structure was. And I had been in that same location the month before with Mike and Aaron. We're just walking around. You know, is there any more structures here we missed or anything? And I'm like, oh, there's a 16-inch track right there. I guess I'm gonna have to film that and measure it since it's right here, right next to where these other huge structures are. Mysteriously, no, there's no evidence that Bigfoot builds structures. Here's the track right here. And we find this constantly, which always makes me laugh and hear these guys going, there's no evidence that Bigfoot make tree structures. Well, how about the fact that we find their tracks around them all the time? Does that provide a clue to you, Mr. Concrete Canyon City that doesn't know anything?
Whenever you're walking these trails out there, following the tree bows or tree breaks or whatever else you're finding out there, your stuff that's stuck up in the air, you know, 8 or 10 feet high, and you find an impression in the leaves that doesn't match up with a boot, and it's bigger than your boot, you know.
Yeah, that's one of the ways you can tell, even if it's not really a clear impression, because human shoes have a rounded front. These things have wide splayed toes, and our shoes don't look like that. So even if it's the size of a human foot, that front end is going to be a lot wider than what it would look like on a shoe. See?
Yeah.
So, you know, we can tell the difference there. Look at that squished down grass area right there. It's a Sasquatch. Well, how can you tell? Because toes. You know, even though you can't see the toe impressions, you can see the width of the front is a lot wider than what a shoe should have been. And so, unless it's either a human that's walking around barefoot all the time, or it's a Sasquatch. There's your choices.
Yeah, but when that barefoot track, you know, is 15, 16 inches long, that eliminates quite a few people.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, that again eliminates more of the chance that it could possibly be a human running around the woods barefoot. Even though we do have the theory that during the NBA's off season, they're contractually obligated to wear furry suits and run around barefoot in the woods and make fake Bigfoot sightings. NBA, no Bigfoot allowed. No, that's the NBA theory doesn't hold up quite as well as the Bigfoot's an actual thing that really is out there theory. But, you know, some people don't like that Bigfoot's real, so we make up alternate theories for them to believe in.
Oh, man. That's pretty good.
Well, I had somebody talking about that on a show, and I was listening to it, and it's like, you know, this really doesn't get brought up. Look, if Bigfoot isn't real, basically what you're saying is that there's this organization. It's not only continent-wide, but it's worldwide. And they're going around faking Bigfoot sightings and freaking people out, not just recently, but for decades and centuries back into the past. So who is this weird secret society that's doing all this? Where are they getting these costumes from? Like Thinker Thunker says, I still haven't found out the monkey suits are us outlet, where all these hoaxers are getting these really realistic suits from.
Yeah.
It's like at some point you need to use your logic, your simple reasoning, people. It's more easy to believe that Sasquatch is real than it is to believe there's a worldwide hoax organization that's been faking all this stuff for centuries.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, people find things like what we find here in America all over the world, as you said.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing, you know, it's like this isn't just a North American phenomenon. This has been going on all over the place forever. You go back in Europe, well, Germany, what do they call them? Der Wildermann. They've got Bigfoot over there. What do they call it in Britain? The Woodwoes. You know, every place over there, they got a name for it. They still get video and pictures from over there every so often, too. In the mountains up in Poland a few years ago, somebody got some great video, or these hikers were going to go down this decline and then up through this rock-strewn slope to go through this pass. And one of them was filming it, and there were several of them up there waiting for him to go through. And this guy spotted him and went, no, 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 we go back now. Which is probably why they came out with a video to show anybody.
That's it's I mean it's worldwide, so it's
Yeah.
it's not just the crazy people here
No.
famous.
Yeah, you know, and it goes back as far as you can go back with it. So, yeah, okay, we're the crazy people that are out there documenting it, and you know, your trail cams are crazy because they're taking pictures, and my video camera is completely insane because it's getting them on video, multiple ones sometimes in one camera pan. So, yeah, okay, whatever you guys believe, whatever you want to believe. Whatever you want to believe, you go believe that. We'll just keep showing the evidence of what's really out there. And you guys can go believe whatever you want to believe. Because either we got magical enchanted cameras that are making shit up, or it's out there because we're getting pictures and video of it.
That's what I've said before. You know, there are a lot more people out there who have pictures and video than what's ever seen the light of day.
And some of it's excellent. And they won't show it because the ridicule factor is so freaking high that they just don't want to deal with it. And it's not worth it to them. There's no big pot of gold at the end of the line here. You know, it's been done before. There's, you know, Patterson Gimlin film isn't the only one out there. There's several other good ones too. Nobody pays any attention to them.
Nobody pays attention to them, or somebody will decide it's fake, and everybody, you know, in that group, you know, they're going to jump on board, and they're all going to agree, and they'll have their own consensus as this is fake, and whether it is or it isn't.
Well, even if you're just not part of the good old boys club, look what happened with Paul Freeman.
Right.
You know, he's a forestry guy. He's out there getting pictures of their tracks and stuff, tracking them for a long time. Finally gets lucky, gets one on video. All of the old-timer Bigfoot researchers from the Pac West took a dump on him. Oh, you couldn't possibly get Bigfoot on video. Why? Well, because you're not one of us. Well, there's some good logic for you. You mean one of you losers that aren't getting them on video or getting pictures of them and never got pictures or video of them. He should be like you and not get pictures and video.
Thermal. I'll say that. I can't say who it was or anything like that. They won't come forward with it someday. Maybe they will. But I mean, it's the best thermal I've seen.
Yeah. Well, I got some of that stuff too. With people will share pictures or video with me and go, "Well, here you can see this, but don't share it." You know.
Right.
And some of it's excellent. And some of the researchers, we have pictures floating around where I showed you the one peeking around the tree the other day. Was that a shitty picture? No. Have I showed that on my show yet? No.
That's to me that's a no-brainer on that one there.
Yeah, I mean that one's really freaking obvious. It's either one of those hoaxers from that secret society with a monkey suits are us outfit on, or it's a Sasquatch looking around a tree, really blowing it and not hiding very well.
Yeah, and how these hoaxers out there know where the researcher is going to be when the researcher may not know until they get to where they're going.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the secret society thing. It takes them tons of money to monitor all the frequencies on the radio and telephones and everything. Oh, William and Steven are heading out there. Quick, get the three NBA players that are on injured reserve right now out there in some suits. We got to hoax these guys.
Yeah.
Wait, Cream's still retired, right? He's nearby. Send him out there.
Yeah, that's the only problem is some of these NBA players are not quite as big as some of the stuff that we've seen.
Yeah, I know. That one that William got on the game cam is where he's walking past and you can see his back from like the waist up. That guy
Yeah.
is so freaking big. There's no human on earth that could fill out a suit like that. And what do you guys estimate his height at? About 9 feet, like 5 feet across the shoulders. Yeah.
To me, I'm guessing that one's going to be the 18 or 19-inch track that we found out there before.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. And that's what it's here's another thing too. Some of the researchers have been doing this for a long time. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day and they went, blah, 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 15-inch track. And the other person in the conversation went, curved? Yeah. Oh, female this tall. And he went, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you always hear these, talking heads about Sasquatch going, well, there are no experts and nobody really knows anything. Yeah, you don't really know anything. There's some people that really know a lot about Sasquatch, and they're not guessing because it's repeatable. That's the science thing. You make observations, and then you see if it keeps happening over and over again. If it does, it's a pattern, it's repeatable. That's science. That's not guesswork. And when you got decades out in the field to do this stuff over and over again, and then you talk to other people that have been out in the field doing it over and over again, you're not guessing anymore. You know what they're doing.
Yeah. And you can tell. I mean, they have patterns. They may not have the exact same pattern in Montana that they have here in Arkansas, but I mean, these in Arkansas, they have a pattern that they go through. I mean, it's their pattern is not the exact same every time they make their circle, but they still have that pattern that you can kind of count on.
Yeah. And there's variables too, it's like, well, usually this time of the year they're over at this berry patch, but this year was kind of dry, so there's not many berries. So they'll probably be down here by this river where the fish are instead. And you can still sort of pattern them just because you know what's the available food in the area, when is it available, how are they probably doing their little circuit around the area that they live in, what's the next thing that's going to be available and yummy, they'll be over there next.
Yeah, I mean, we had it got to 6 below here earlier this year, and that's just
really cold for you guys. Yeah,
it's extremely cold for us. I mean, it killed my possum grapevine did not produce this year. My muscadine vine didn't produce. My peach tree died.
Yeah. So that'll vary their little. Yeah, that'll vary their little travel route around because the things that usually at that time of year available, not available this year. Or if you have an exceptionally wet year, or exceptionally dry year, any of that can make little changes in there. But in general, there is a predictability to them because you can figure out about how big their range is, how often are they being seen in your research area, what's available around there that's a food source. Well, if there's, like a blueberry patch a mile away, good chance they're going to be over there when those are ripe.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. They found other things to get.
Yep. And they're opportunists too. Somebody new moves into the area and they're leaving big cans of yummy trash from their job that they do at a restaurant out behind the house. Well, guess who's going to be taking advantage of it? And then maybe there's some other part of the route they won't be visiting because, hey, there's still tons of trash over here that's yummy. Let's go eat that.
I've got a neighbor that lives, I don't know, he's less than half a mile from me. And for 3 years in a row, every peach on his tree disappeared right about the time they were getting ripe. He was waiting on them, just a couple more days to get ripe.
Yeah. And
every peach on the tree disappeared.
Guess who else is waiting for peak ripeness?
We don't have apple orchards here, so we have people plant peach trees, and guess who else likes peaches?
Yeah. Well, one of my sometimes research assistants here was over here with me last month. He lives over in Spokane, Washington. In his backyard, there's the remains of an old orchard there. And in the fall, anything that's like within 6-7 feet of the ground, the deer can get that high and they'll eat it. And anything that falls on the ground, they eat it. But everything from like 6-7 feet up to the top of the tree, it's still there. And then it'll like disappear within 2 days. All of it's gone. None of it's on the ground. Where did it all go? And then you go back there and look, and there's like, yeah, there's biggie tracks all over back here. They're cleaning out all the fruit that you guys aren't paying any attention to.
A friend of mine who lives out in western Oklahoma, he had the same thing happen to him, with one of his fruit trees.
And you're like, there's not enough small climbing animals in this entire forest to clean every piece of fruit off this tree in one night. And sometimes you hear about like, there'll be like 8, 10 trees they'll clean all at one night. It'll all be gone.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what the hell can eat that much?
Yeah, exactly.
And my guess is they're not actually eating it. They're, gathering up a lot of it and just hauling it away with them. But they're eating it eventually.
Yeah.
So I'm talking too much. You're not talking enough. What other pictures did you send along with that we can show people here?
Let's see. I did send you the trackway, what I believe is the Dogman trackway. You'll see it certainly seems to be a bipedal canine, and it's 1 foot in front of the other.
It's really freaky.
Yeah, the first trackway I found, it had a little bit of separation. It wasn't just 1 foot right in front of the other. There was like a 6 to 8 inch separation, 5 to 8 inch separation, something like that. And that second one that I found that I did take a picture of, they're one right in front of the other.
Wow. And
as far as they sank into the dirt, it was obvious that it was wet whenever it went through there. I mean, if it had been on all fours, there should be evidence there. You should be able to zoom in on the picture and see, where the front foot was at. But
right.
I mean, I can't find it in the picture, and I've sent it to several people. I showed it to the guy the other day. He works for the National Wildlife Refuge. I said, "Hey man," "I'd like for you to debunk this one." He couldn't.
What kind of wildlife was leaving this track lane? One that we do not admit exists. That's what. Yeah.
I sent you one picture, Duke. It's you can tell that I took a picture of a picture, and what it was is it was a 5x7. I'm just trying to make it a little clearer if I possibly could. I don't know if I did or not. But the story behind that picture, I didn't see it when I took the picture. But the story behind the picture was my son and I were checking a hog trap. This was I think it was in May of 2000. I know it was 2017. I think it was May. We checked the hog trap, and to spend a little more time on the four-wheeler, just enjoying our evening, that Saturday evening, I decided to go ahead and drive across the creek. When we got to cross the creek, there was a tree snapped off about 4 feet high and then blocking the four-wheeler trail.
Oh God.
And I thought, nah, I'm not really seeing what I think I'm seeing. So I took a picture. The first picture, I took it. I got off the four-wheeler. I'm walking around the tree all fat, dumb, and happy, and I take a couple more pictures. And my son, he was 4 years old at the time. He started telling me, "Come on, Dad, let's go." And I ignored him. I ignored him the first 2, 3, 4 times. He said, "Come on, Dad, let's go." Well, anytime I go riding on a four-wheeler, I usually carry a pistol with me. I keep it in the hard case, and I would put it underneath the tarp strap on the front rack of the four-wheeler. And while I was walking around this tree, I'm looking for impressions in the leaves. He stood up on the seat far enough that he could grab my gun case, and he was holding it up to his chest like this, and he said, "Come on, Dad, let's go."
Huh.
And I finally said, "Okay, son, we'll go." And I really didn't think any more about it. I got home. Of course, I looked through my pictures, because that behavior from him, he'd never done that before, and he never did do it afterwards. That was a one-off on that behavior for him. So I caught myself looking through the picture, and I never could find anything. Of course, what I figured out is I was looking in the wrong spot in the picture. And a few months later, he had a nightmare about a monster trying to get into his room.
Whoa.
come in our bedroom, woke us up about 2:30 in the morning, crying. He was just about hysterical about this monster was trying to get to him, trying to get him. So after that, man, I started looking through the picture again, and I finally spotted that one there. And I don't know how clear it's going to show up for everybody else, but you can see the face. The right eye is blocked out by a leaf, but you can see the left eye, and you can see the nostrils.
Creepy. You know, interesting. You're talking about the kids spotting some of the stuff that we don't spot, and it made me think about when Papa Craig was here this spring, and he had a video up he was watching on a big screen, and he had one of his grandkids there, and the kid's, you know, like toddler, can barely talk or anything, and he's got this huge screen he's looking at, and he's trying to figure out where the thing is that he's supposed to be looking at on the screen is, and he can't figure it out. And the kid comes walking past and puts his hand on the screen and goes, "Grandpa, monster," right on its face, like instantly. And like,
yeah, that's it.
Weird stuff. Yeah, it makes you wonder what happened with us when we got to be older. All of a sudden, we haven't got pattern recognition, and these little kids that shouldn't be able to see anything in the picture are like, "Monster right there." Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I took that picture, and now I'm going to go have a shot of whiskey. Good thing I don't drink. I'd be drunk all the time with some of the stuff in the videos from this summer. That's really, it's weird. It makes you wonder about that. How can, you know, yeah, obviously their eyesight's better than somebody's older eyesight is, but you would think the younger that they were, the less pattern recognition they've had. And maybe it works just in the opposite. The older you are, you built up so much pattern recognition that anything that doesn't register is something you're used to. You just don't even notice it.
It will be the case. I mean, I'm not, to me, it was funny that my son, he got so spooked up that day, insisting that we go ahead and leave. And I was just, I don't know, I was just kind of excited, I guess, to see what I was seeing.
Do you think that when he was having the nightmare later on that there was something at the house, or do you think he was just kind of having a flashback from what he spotted?
I never was sure. Of course, I'm a pretty sound sleeper, but my wife is not. She's a real light sleeper. So I mean, if something would have hit the house or something like that, I'm certain. I feel certain that my wife would have woke up.
Right.
You know, I mean, the house has been hit before. You know, I was thinking he was just having a. To me, I was thinking he was just having a flashback to that day. Is what I was thinking about. It's what motivated me to look a little harder in that picture and see if there really was something there.
Yeah, I know how that is. I get people send me a picture sometimes and go, "Oh, there's one in here." And I'll sit there for 10 minutes staring at the picture, zooming in on every piece of it, going, "What the hell are they looking at?" And then all of a sudden I'll spot it and I'll be like, "Man, am I retarded? I couldn't see this thing." It's like freaking obvious. No wonder they spotted it. I'm Mr. Magoo. I can't see anything. Sometimes it's because it's so damn obvious. You're just like, well, that can't be a, oh my God, that is a head right there with a face. I thought it was a stump. No. Yeah. You really freak out. Have you guys heard, when you were there in person, have you heard any really super terrifying vocalizations? Have you had any of the T-Rex roar or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I should probably hunt that up and send it to you sometime. I've got one where I kind of flipped it out, and I've got that. What I've heard out there was I don't know. It seems like some of the seems like when I'm out there alone, that's when they seem to be a little more bold, or I get more vocals. But I heard something out there one night. It was getting dark. I had my son. He was with me. He was in the truck. He had my phone. He's playing games on my phone. And I might have carried my big knife out there with me. That's all I had. And the coyotes got started up. Oh, they were probably 200 yards away. And there was something mixed in with those coyotes. And it's a real high pitch vocalization. And when those coyotes would howl, this thing would howl with them. And Duke, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It made my skin crawl listening to it. I just wanted to get by. I took a fast walk back to the truck.
Well, if you get a chance to hunt down that other audio you were referencing, send it along. We'll play it for everybody on this episode. They can get a chance to check it out. You know, one I wish I had access to that I could play for everybody. One of my friends played for me a few years ago in their area. And it was the usual, oh, it's late at night. The coyotes are going to go off. Here they go. They're going off. They're going off for about 3-4 minutes. Then there's this tremendous roar, and everything shuts the hell up. And it's like, what the hell was that?
Yeah. Now, Duke, I will tell you, my dad, he's never seen anything, but I know that he's heard one at least once in his life. This was probably 4 years ago, and we were on a job site on a Saturday, and it's probably about 7:30, 7:45 in the morning, and coyotes cranked up down on the creek, which was the boundary on the job. I don't know why they started up that time of day, but they got cranked up, and there was something high pitch made a vocalization, and those coyotes shut up, and they never made another peep. My dad turned around and looked at me and said, "What in the world was that?" He said, "Is that one of those things you tell me is out there?" I said, "Yeah, it was."
No, Dad, that was one of the things that eats those things I've been telling you about there.
Yeah.
Really scare them. Oh, my Lord. Yeah, and that's part of the thing, too, you know, and it's nice when you get repeating patterns from people that have actual active research areas and they're getting the vocalizations and they're like, well, you guys hear this? Yeah, we got a recording of that, too. And then occasionally you get one of these oddball sounds that nobody can identify, and you're like, I don't know what the hell that is, but I'm not sure I want to see what it is either, you know, because it doesn't sound very friendly. Creepy stuff. So what, did we have any more pictures you needed to go over anything? We're kind of running along here.
I did send you a little bit of video, one where what I talked about before, where the trail looked like it ended.
Right.
Sent you one there where there was a dead limb, was a fork at one time. One of the part of the fork fell off. It is still propped up against the tree. And up above, you know, that's where the tree was bent over and twisted, but it was like 10 feet up in the air.
Right.
And I sent you another one where a vine had been pulled down off of a pine tree. It had been wrapped back around the pine tree, and it made an X on the east side of the tree, and it was stuck back into the leaves. And I don't know where the rest of the vine went to.
That's weird. Well, the other one, the fork against the tree with a twist on it, what you're referencing on that one is that's apparently one of their trail markers, and it comes up to where there's a split in the trail, and here's this fork leaning against the tree instead of a regular one stick leaning against the tree as a trail marker. Here's a fork against the tree, and right up ahead, there's a fork in the trail. So I found that very interesting.
It's about 100 yards from where that was at. That's where the trail splits.
Yep, that's one of the things that us researchers have been working on for a while, is trying to figure out exactly what all their trail markers and different structures and stuff that they make mean, as much as we can try and figure it out. And again, we've got some of it figured out because it's testable and it repeats. So, woohoo.
Yeah, that's something I'm wanting to do, is to get out there and do some more walking and get in some different areas where I know there's also Bigfoot and see what I find in those places. I'll be surprised if it's not similar anyway.
Yeah. Well, I've got a chance. I've been lucky enough that I've lived in different parts of the country all over the place, and everywhere that I've gone and looked for it, you see the same stick and tree structures. They're just the same thing, unless they're making like a big timber tangle, like some kind of an art project or something, and that could look like anything. But you get so much repeaters. There's snaps, there's leaners, there's arches, there's X's, there's asterisks, there's teepees, there's fence structures. Some of them are more common than other ones. Occasionally, you'll find a grown nest where they made a nest and they, took a snooze there or something because too far from the cave. Nice day, whatever. But it's not random. Like some people that don't know very much about this might think, oh, we're just seeing weird, examples of oddities that happen in the forest 1 in a million, and we're chronicling them, saying it's Bigfoot. No, they're making the same structures all over the country.
See here, it's you find a living tree and it'll be pinned down. Usually, most time, it's pinned down with a piece of dead hardwood. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, half the time up here when we see an arch, the damn top is shoved into the ground. It's not even pinned down. And we found trees that were so big that the top of the arch is like 25, 30 feet up, and the top is still crammed into the ground. Who the hell's doing this?
Yeah, that reminds me, I need to send you another video of a really big tree bug.
Okay, well, we'll try and include that one in this show too. Now that you remember that you're supposed to send it, we'll show that one too. But see, here's the point that I'm trying to make is like the conformity, the uniformity of it. We see an arch here. We see one down there where you guys are. They see one over on the East Coast. They see one in Florida. They see one up in Canada. Well, is it natural or not? Well, let's look at it. Is it pinned down? That's not natural. Is the top shoved into the ground? That's not natural. And you'll find the same thing in all those places that I just mentioned. You'll find examples of either one where it's like, A, this isn't natural, and B, they're doing it exactly the same way. They got a big tree pinning down another one, or they've actually physically taken the top of the tree and just crammed it into the ground. And neither one of those things happens in nature, friends. No. Especially when you got the tree is like bent over, way over here. The one that's pinning it down is coming from this way. How did that one over there fall over here and take the top down and pin it? It's impossible.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, some of these examples that I have, they're I just don't see any way possible for nature to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you exclude nature, and it's like, well, you could have humans out there doing it, and that's certainly a possibility. People do make some weird, piles of brush and sticks and stuff occasionally. Could be somebody that was roughing it overnight and had to make quick shelter to throw a tarp over so they could stay warm or something. But, again, in those cases, you can find evidence humans were there. We leave evidence. We leave little pieces of garbage. If we're going to make a structure, we're probably going to use something to cut some of the wood pieces. We might use a piece of twine or a nail to hold it together. You got none of that present. Now, here's one of the things we like about our area. These things are colossal. Unless you're in there with a logging helicopter or a crane or something, you're just not going to make these things. It's impossible. So that eliminates the human thing right there. They're either natural or Sasquatch are making them or something's making them, because these are not natural and they're gigantic. See, that's why we like our area, because gigantic tree structures.
Yeah.
And William will tell you about that too. Like they're really, really big.
Oh yeah.
You get next to him, you get that creepy feeling going, how big was whoever it was that made this? Because this thing is gigantic. Littler tree structures and stuff don't freak me out so much. I kind of like it when I find those, like, oh, cool, little teepee, or like, cool, an arch that's only 6 feet high. Only. But when you start saying, oh, full tree, arch 30 feet high, who's making these? I think I'm going to leave the area now. Well, make sure you include all that other video and audio. If you can track it down, send that with so we can show it to everybody here. And all those parts where we're just kind of talking about not much of anything in particular. I can be showing pictures and, you know, video that doesn't require audio on it. I can be showing that. So send all that along. Was there anything else you wanted to cover on this one?
Sure, I'll think of things after the show, after we end. So
It's the way it usually works. Well, next time we have Steven on, hopefully we should have him on at the same time as William, because I want to get both these guys on at the same time. They can talk about things that happened when both of them were there, which is always cooler because then, you know, like inevitably you'll forget some detail and your buddy will remember it. And they'll go, oh, but then this happened. Oh, this happened first. You know, and you'll get the whole story out better that way. But man, it's go ahead.
We've got some interesting things that have happened together. You know, that kind of whether it be infrasound, ultrasound, whatever the case may be. You know,
whatever weird trick it is that they're doing. Well, hopefully we're going to be able to get not only William to come back next summer, but get you to come up with them too, so you get a chance to check out what it's like squatching up here in the high timber and in the Himalayas, where you have to wear mountaineering gear so you don't freeze to death in August.
Yeah, I'd love for that to work out, Duke. I really would. I'll try.
Well, hopefully we can get you up here. You know, William's swearing that he's going to drive next time. He's not going to fly. You're going to get that vehicle all worked out so it's all nice and slick, and it's going to make it here and back, and he's going to drive up. And I'll tell you what, it may take you a lot longer to drive than to fly, but the territory in between is freaking amazing. You're going to see some amazing scenery driving up here.
Well, I'm sure.
I remember the first time I made the drive, there's a valley in western Montana. The freeway goes through it. The freeway, you're doing 75 miles an hour. Mountain range on both sides of you and big open flat valley, no trees, no nothing. It's hard to even tell the scale. How far away is that mountain range? How far away is that one? Who the hell knows? One on this side is the Crazy Mountains. I can't remember what the one on the other side is. And I remember I was driving up it and I was talking to the person that was with me, and we're doing 75 miles an hour. And we're like, blah, 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 for almost a half an hour. The scenery looks exactly the same. It's like you haven't even moved. You've been going 75 miles an hour for a half an hour. The scene looks the same. Mountain same distance away. Like, how freaking big is the landscape out here? It's that big. Like a little ant crawling across it.
That would be really cool to see.
It's hard to relate to until you have it happen to you, and you're just like, man, are we getting? Is the vehicle moving? Because apparently, judging by looking at the side of the road, we're still doing 75, but all those mountains on both sides and everything are not changing. They look like the same they did a half an hour ago. Yeah, gigantic scenery, gigantic landscape. But anyway, we're going to let you go here. And so everybody, thank you very much for being with us. And thank you very much for joining us and being on the show and letting everybody know a little bit about you and some of the research you're doing down there and in the deepish south over there by Texas and Arkansas.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks again for being on. Hopefully we're going to have you on a bunch of times here in the future. And for everybody else out there, always remember, be kind to everybody else. Safety first, last, and always. Don't take any stupid chances. Do not punt the puck, would you? Don't poke Dogman with a stick. Don't flip off the mountain giant. And whatever you do, God help you, do not hug the Wookiees. Good night, everybody.